So today, again, I have a cold. I'm not going to talk loud. I'm not going to talk a long time. Um, Today, what we're going to hit is something that I think you guys spent a decent amount of time on in Algebra 2, and that's transformations of graphs. So, since you spent some time on it in there, I think you should be able to do this all right, because she hit this fairly hard, so hopefully it'll go all right for you. Okay, so we're going to do various transformations. Vertical and horizontal translations, shifts up and down, left and right, reflect across the x-axis, y-axis, and stretches and shrinks and combining them all. In Algebra 2, you spend a few days on this. In PreCalc, you spend 1 day on this. Okay, it's just the nature of the beast. As we get older and we learn more, we spend less time on it. But it's something fairly important. You do spend a little time on it in college algebra. Okay. When we're doing transformations, if we just a shift left, right, or around an axis, it's a rigid transformation. It doesn't change shape or size. It just slides or flips. Okay. Now, non-rigid are stretches, okay, and shrinks, and we'll see those. Okay, so this is the important stuff right here, okay. Horizontal translations. If something happens inside the parentheses, okay, it's going to affect it in the horizontal or in the x, okay. So x minus c, you would think it'd go to the left, but it actually goes to the right. It's opposite of what you'd think, okay? So don't let the minus kill you here. So x minus c goes to the right, x plus c goes to the left. We did this in trig as well, okay? We did this in trig for all of you trigsters that had trig last semester, okay? If it happens outside the parentheses, plus is up, minus is down. Okay? So, are we good with that? Okay? This is just slides, translations. Okay? Translations. So, a slide to the left is a plus sign inside the parentheses. A slide to the right is a minus sign inside the parentheses. A slide up is a plus sign outside the parentheses, and a slide down is a minus sign outside the parentheses. Okay, so we're just sliding things around. All right. So if you see, this is the original graph, and this is a slide. What does the original graph look like, Andrew Comas? It's a V because it's an absolute value. So if you see a minus 4 outside the absolute values, what happens to it, Parker? Everything goes down 4. So it goes from the red graph down to the blue graph. Okay. For this one, okay, the red graph is the original graph. Okay. What happens in this first one? What do you think is happening in the first one? It goes down by 3. So if it goes down by 3, if the first graph is x cubed, it would be x cubed minus 3. Okay. What's happening in the second graph? Left 2. So we go x minus or x plus 2, and then it's cubed. X plus 2, and it's cubed. The last one, what happens to it? Right, 3, so it's x minus 3 inside parentheses cubed. Okay? Okay, the next one is reflections. So if there's a minus sign on the outside of the function, it'll flip across the x-axis. If it's on the inside the parentheses, the minus, then it going to flip across the y-axis. And if they're both places, it's going to flip around both axes. So they say it's going to reflect through the origin. But, sometimes it's easier to say it'll be flip and then flip again. Okay? So there'll be 2 flips there. Okay. So, absolute values, they get a little wonky. If you take the absolute value on the outside of the function, you're basically going to reflect anything below the x-axis to above the x-axis. If you put an absolute value inside the function, anything to the left of the y-axis will go right to the right of the y-axis. But what's already on the right won't change at all. Okay? So absolute values make things a little wonky. It'll be all right. Okay, stretches and shrinks. Okay. So most of the time, I would say it like this. F of 1 over c times x. Okay. So if c is a positive number, if it's a fraction then, so 1, let's say c is 4. So if we have 1/4 times x, 1/4 is actually going to stretch it out to the opposite of what you'd think. Because you think in your mind, well, 1/4 is going to make it smaller. Well, no, it happens inside the parentheses, so you got to think the opposite. It's going to stretch it. Okay? And then if c is less than 1, let's say c is 1/2. Well, f of 1 over 1/2 x is really f of 2x. So what that's going to do is actually shrink it. This is a shrink. Okay? Even though we have a positive number there, it's going to shrink it down. So basically, on the inside parentheses, if something happens, it's opposite of maybe what you would think. And then if it happens on the outside of parentheses, it's going to happen in the vertical direction. So a positive, like a 2 times f of x, is going to stretch it, and 1/2 times f of x is going to shrink it. All right. These slides got written up wrong, so I'm not even going to go through them. So now let's combine some transformations here. Okay, what's a horizontal shift to the left going to do this to this? What's the first step? How is it going to look? Y equals x plus 5 quantity squared. Okay, we're going to build on that. It's going to vertically stretch by a factor of 3. Where's the 3 go? Because it's outside, because it's vertical, so y equals 3 times x plus 5 squared. And then we're going to translate it up 4. So since it's vertical, what do? Put it on the outside. So it should look like that in the end. Okay. So if we would square it out and multiply through and add, our expression would look like that. Okay, we're going to do all of these to it. What I like to do is work from inside out. Okay, here's inside. So that's going to be first. What's x minus 2 do to it? 2 to the right. It moves it 2 to the right. Okay, so everything goes 2 to the right. Okay, then we take care of this. What's a negative on the outside going to do to this function? Flip it across which axis? The x-axis. So we're going to flip that across the x-axis, and now it comes down. And then the plus 4 does what? Slides it up 4. Okay? So that's the basics of what we're doing today. Okay?